Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, welcome back with me, Miss Ira, in the presentation of Language Assessment Principle and Classroom Practices. Okay, today we are going to talk about chapter 11, Grading and Students Evaluation. This is the last chapter of this book, Language Assessment Principle and Classroom Practices. Let's get started. These are the table of content. There are 5 subchapter. The first is definition of grading. The second is philosophy of grading. The third is institutional expectation and constraints. The fourth is alternatives to letter grading, and then some principles and guidelines for grading and evaluation. And then the critical question here, we are going to answer this question in the end of this presentation. Okay, this is a critical question. Please think it carefully. What is the purpose do grades serve? And then what is the trouble with evaluation of students? And then how to make grading more efficient? These 3 critical questions. We are going to answer this question in the end of the presentation. Okay, the first is definition of grading. Definition of grading. Grades in the realm of education are standardized measurement of varying levels of comprehension within a subject area. Grades can be assigned in letter, for example, A, B, C, D, E, or F. Actually, when we are in college, our score, our grades can be A plus or B plus, B, C, and also it has a range of number also, 4, 3.5, 3.2, and etc. As the range, for example, now 4.0 until 1.0 as the number out of possible total, for example, out 20 or 100. And then as descriptor, the descriptor is excellent, great, satisfactory, needs improvement. And then the second is philosophy of grading. Philosophy of grading based grades on student achievement and achievement only. Grades should represent the extent to which the intended learning outcomes were achieved by students. They should not be contaminated by students' effort, tardiness, misbehavior, and other external factors. If they are permitted to become part of the grade, the meaning of the grade as an indicator of achievement is lost. And then philosophy for grading, guidelines for selecting grading criteria and then calculating grades, absolute and relative grading. And then the last is teacher's perception of appropriate grade distribution. And the third is institutional expectation and constraints. Institutional expectation and constraints, being cognizant of an institutional philosophy of grading, is an important step toward a consistent and fair evaluation of your student. First, filter factor and the question of difficulty. What 2-letter grades mean? And then alternatives to letter grading, number 4 or the 4th. Alternative to letter grading, 12 alternatives to letter gradings. The first is gamification, live feedback, with iterate, replace, and the fourth is always on proving grounds. And then standard-based report, so what now? And then curriculum and highlight, pass or fail, and then P2P, S2S, our mentor celebration. And the 10th is non-point-based rubrics, and the last is publishing. Some principles and guidelines for grading and evaluation. Now, this is the principle. Grading is not necessarily based on universally accepted scale. And then grading is sometimes subjective and context dependent. And then grades may not mean the same thing to all people. And then alternative to letter or numerical grades are highly desirable as additional indicators of achievement. And then this is the guideline. Develop an informed design test that conform to appropriate institutional and cultural expectation. Select appropriate criteria for grading the relative weighting. And the last is triangulate formal graded evaluation with alternatives that are more informative, and that give more washback. What is purpose to create serve? We will answer this question, the critical question at the first slide. Yeah. What is purpose to create serve? Barbara Wilford and Virginia Anderson identify the multiple roles that create serve as an evaluation student work, as a means of communicating to students, parents, graduate schools, professional schools, and future employers about the student. And then as a source of motivation to students for continued learning and improvement, as a means of organizing a lesson, a unit, or a semester in that creates marked transition in a course and bring closure to it. And then what is the trouble with evaluation of students? Okay, Siski identifies some problems with student evaluation. Evaluation is highly inconsistent process. Teachers give different numbers and types of assessment and weight them differently. And there is disagreement on issues like the role and value of work. Some teachers assign homework frequently and weight it heavily, and then while some don't assign it at all. And then some teachers will low retakes of tests and quizzes, others do not. Different policies exist for work turned in late, and then district may or require different final grades, as a passing mark 60 to 70 is a common above large range. Okay. And then it's still, what is the trouble with evaluation of students? Yeah, district may be minimum score that teacher can record. For example, no grade lower than a 50. 50 is allowed. Okay, no grade lower than a 50 is allowed. So it means that the grade under 50 is not allowed. Yeah. And then the validity and reliability of student assessment vary. And then there are major of philosophical differences regarding evaluation. Some teacher responsibility for teaching mainly on themselves. And then there is a little agreement on many assessment and what kind are needed for evaluation. And then even within the same school, different teachers teach differently and test differently for the same course. And this is the last, how to make grading more efficient. How to make grading more efficient? There are some strategies that we can use to make the grading process more efficient at the very beginning. Consider the course grading policies before you grade, and then try to creating a rubric or grading scale, and then test it out and a sampling of papers while you are grading, and then grade while you are in a good mood. Yeah, teacher should be in a good mood when grade. And then commenting on student work, identify common problems students had with an assignment and prepare a handout of addressing those problems. And then after you've graded, if appropriate for your course or section, use a spreadsheet and or the space grading feature to calculate grades. Okay, we have answered all the critical questions. I hope that you can understand all the material that we talk in this chapter. Don't forget to read H. Douglas Brown book entitled Language Assessment, Principle and Classroom Practices. All right. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you can understand all the material from the first until the 11th chapter. And then, bye-bye everyone. I'm Miss Ira. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.